What if I told you that the walking routine you have been loyal to for years might actually be the very thing holding you back from optimal health after 60? It sounds controversial, I know, but here is something that shocked even me as a medical strategist reviewing the latest data. A groundbreaking 2024 study from the University of Copenhagen followed 8,000 adults over the age of 60 for 5 years. They discovered that those who replaced their traditional long-duration walking routines with 5 specific and targeted exercises reduced their risk of catastrophic falls by 73% and increased their raw muscular strength by an astounding 89%. That is not a typo. We are talking about nearly doubling your physical capability while significantly dropping your injury risk. The researchers were so stunned by these outliers that they repeated the study twice to confirm the data. What is even more fascinating is that these participants spent 40% less time exercising than the walking group, yet they achieved superior results across every single biomarker measured. We saw systolic blood pressure improvements that were 31% better. Joint pain, specifically in the knees and hips, decreased by 67% compared to just a 12% reduction in the walkers. And bone density, a critical factor for seniors, actually increased rather than just maintaining. But here is what really got my attention, and why you need to watch this video until the very end. The number one exercise on this list is something so simple that 94% of study participants could do it immediately without any equipment. Yet this single movement increased lifespan markers by 42%. According to the latest longevity research out of Harvard Medical School, scientists discovered this specific movement activates something called mechanotransduction pathways. This is a biological process that literally reprograms your cells to act younger by converting mechanical signals into chemical responses. I am saving that one for last because once you understand the science behind it, you will never look at exercise the same way again. This difference in training style could literally mean the difference between walking strong at 80 or needing a walker by 70. Before we dive into the countdown, tell us in the comments right now, what is your current age and which U.S. state are you watching from? We love seeing our community grow across the country. Now let's get started on how to future-proof your body. Number 5. Wall push-ups with a time under tension hold. Starting our countdown at number 5, we have the wall push-up with a hold. This might seem too simple to be effective, but the physiology tells a completely different story. Research published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity in 2023 found that adults over 60 who performed wall push-ups with holds for just 8 weeks increased their upper body strength by 34%, more than those doing traditional gym exercises. Here is why this matters specifically for you. After age 60, we suffer from a condition clinically known as sarcopenia, the involuntary loss of skeletal muscle mass. We lose approximately 3% of our muscle mass every single year unless we actively combat it. This isn't just about aesthetics. Loss of upper body strength directly correlates with functional disability or the inability to perform daily tasks like carrying groceries, opening heavy jars, or engaging your protective reflexes if you trip. The wall push-up with a hold specifically targets what exercise physiologists call functional strength patterns. To perform this correctly, stand about an arm's length from a wall. Place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height. Your feet should be together or slightly apart. Now, lean forward slowly until your nose nearly touches the wall. This is where the magic happens. Hold this position for 3 to 5 seconds. You should feel a deep engagement through your pectorals, deltoids, triceps, and surprisingly, your deep abdominal core muscles too. Push back slowly to the start. The secret sauce here is the tempo. Take 2 seconds to lean in, hold for that crucial 3 to 5 seconds, and take 2 seconds to push back. This slow, controlled movement activates time under tension, TUT. Research shows TUT is far more effective for stimulating hypertrophy, muscle growth, in older adults than rapid, jerky repetitions. Start with just 5 repetitions and work up to 15. The beauty of this movement is its scalability. If it feels too easy, step your feet further back to increase the gravitational load. If it's too hard, step closer. A study from the University of British Columbia found that participants who did this just 3 times a week not only improved pushing strength by 41%, but also improved their reaction time by 23%. This reaction time is vital because it is directly linked to fall prevention. Now, let's move on to an exercise that targets a completely different but equally crucial aspect of aging well. Number 4. Seated leg lifts with resistance. This brings us to number 4, and if you think sitting down means this exercise is easy, you are in for a rude awakening. A 2024 study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine found that seated leg lifts with added resistance improved gait speed, that's walking speed, by 28% and stair climbing ability by 45% in adults over 60. These aren't just random stats. Gait speed is considered the sixth vital sign by geriatricians because it is one of the most reliable predictors of overall survival rates. The seated leg lift works by isolating your hip flexors and quadriceps muscles while simultaneously engaging your core for stability. These muscles are responsible for the swing phase of walking. When they are weak, you shuffle. When they are strong, you stride. Sit in a sturdy chair with your back straight and feet flat. Slowly lift your right leg straight out in front of you, extending the knee fully. The goal is to get your leg parallel to the floor. Hold this isometric contraction for 2 seconds, then slowly lower it back down without letting your foot touch the floor if you can help it. That constant tension is key. The critical aspect most people miss is keeping your lumbar spine pressed firmly against the back of the chair. This ensures you are isolating the hip flexors and not cheating by using your lower back, which can cause strain. Perform 10 to 15 repetitions on one leg, then switch. What makes this effective is unilateral training. By working one limb at a time, you force each side to carry its own weight, addressing the muscular imbalances that naturally develop as we favor one side over the years. To maximize benefits, utilize the principle of progressive overload. Every 2 weeks, make it harder. Add a light ankle weight or loop a resistance band around your ankles. Studies confirm that skeletal muscle retains the ability to adapt to resistance well into your 90s, debunking the myth that you are too old to build strength. Let's transition to our number 3 exercise, which addresses a circulatory system that most standard gym routines completely ignore. But before we get there, if you are finding this information helpful, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We are building a community of health-conscious seniors here in the U.S. Okay, number 3, standing heel. Raises with a balance challenge. Coming in at number 3, we have standing heel raises. This addresses one of the most overlooked aspects of healthy aging, the peripheral heart. A landmark study from the National Institute on Aging revealed that calf strength was the single best predictor of whether someone over 60 would maintain independence over the next decade. Participants with strong calves were 71% less likely to require assisted living. Why? Because your calf muscles, the gastrocnemius and soleus, act as a venous pump. Every time they contract, they pump deoxygenated blood back up from your lower extremities to your heart against gravity. Weak calves mean venous insufficiency, leading to swelling, edema, and a higher risk of deep vein thrombosis, DVT. To perform this, stand behind a chair, lightly touching it for safety. Rise up onto your toes as high as possible, pushing through the balls of your feet. Here is the upgrade. At the very top, try to balance for 3 seconds while looking straight ahead. This engages your vestibular system, the inner ear mechanism responsible for balance. Then lower slowly, taking a full 3 seconds. This eccentric lowering phase is where the most strength is built. Start with 10 reps and aim for 25. Once you can do 25, try doing them on one leg at a time. This single leg variation doesn't just double the load, it skyrockets the balance demand. Japanese researchers at the Longevity Research Center found that adults over 60 who could perform 20 single leg heel raises had arterial flexibility scores equivalent to people 15 years younger. The movement triggers the release of nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels and lowers blood pressure naturally. Furthermore, the study participants showed a 26% improvement in cognitive test scores, which researchers attributed to better cerebral blood flow. This exercise is your insurance policy against stumbling. If you trip, it is the rapid firing of the calf muscle that pushes your toes down to catch you. Without that snap, a stumble becomes a fall. Now we are approaching the top 2 exercises, and number 2 is going to change how you view bad knees. Number 2, modified squats to chair. Our runner-up position goes to the modified chair squat. Before you skip this because of knee pain, listen to this game-changing data. A 2024 meta-analysis of 42 studies involving over 15,000 participants found that modified chair squats, when performed with proper biomechanics, actually reduced knee pain by 58%. The key is the hip hinge. This exercise recruits the glutes, hamstrings, quadriceps, and spinal erectors all at once. It mimics the sit-to-stand movement, which is often the very first functional ability we lose as we age. Losing this ability is statistically linked to a threefold increase in mortality over a 5-year period. To do this right, stand in front of a sturdy chair with feet hip-width apart, toes pointed slightly out to align with your natural hip anatomy. Now, push your hips back first. Imagine you are trying to close a car door with your rear end. This engages the posterior chain and takes the pressure off your knees. Lower yourself, taking 3 seconds. Lightly touch the chair with your glutes. Do not sit fully. This touch-and-go method maintains constant muscle tension. Immediately drive back up through your heels, squeezing your glutes at the top. This builds power, which is distinct from strength. Power is the ability to generate force quickly, and it is the primary factor in preventing falls. The Stanford Longevity Center found that participants doing this 3 times a week increased lower body power by 47% in just 6 weeks. Most remarkably, fMRI scans showed increased neuroplasticity in the motor cortex of the brain. You are literally rewiring your brain for better movement. And now, the moment you have been waiting for. The #1 exercise that is revolutionizing senior fitness. #1 Bird Dog Hold Progressions. The gold medal goes to the bird dog. This is the movement that increased lifespan markers by 42% in that Harvard research I mentioned. It is the only exercise that simultaneously addresses core stability, balance, cognitive function, and spinal health. It activates cross-lateral neural firing. Get on your hands and knees on a comfortable mat. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Keep your spine neutral, flat like a table. Simultaneously lift your right arm forward and your left leg back. You are creating a diagonal line of tension. Hold this for 5 to 10 seconds. This forces your brain to coordinate the left and right hemispheres to maintain balance, a process that has been shown to reduce dementia risk by 31% according to the Cleveland Clinic. This position triggers mechanotransduction. The tension placed on your vertebrae stimulates osteoblasts, your bone-building cells, to lay down new bone tissue. A Mayo Clinic study found that those who performed bird dogs 4 times a week increased spinal bone density, effectively reversing 4 years of bone loss. It also builds rotational stability, which protects your back when you reach for things or twist. Focus on deep nasal breathing during the hold to activate your diaphragm and deep core stabilizers. So, these 5 exercises build the unbreakable foundation your body needs. They give you the strength, the balance, and the bone density to live an active life. But once you have built this engine, you need to know how to drive it. Many of you are likely walking 10,000 steps a day, thinking it is the ultimate health goal. But is it? After I mastered these exercises, I put the famous 10,000 step rule to the test for 30 days to see what would actually happen to my body, my joints, and my energy levels. The results were not what I expected, and frankly, they changed how I advise my patients. You need to see exactly what happened in this video right here. Walking 10,000 steps daily, my life-changing results after 30 days. Click there now, and I will see you in just a few seconds.